guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Brittany if you're new here. I am a mama to twin boys. They're 13 months old. They'll be 14 months old on October 7th. Crazy. I'll definitely be putting this video up before then, but I can't even believe it. But they were 30 weekers, so they were born pretty early. If you haven't watched my twin birth story, I'll link those below. It's 2 parts, but basically they were born early, and that was scary, hard, stressful as far as their breastfeeding journey went, as far as a lot of things went, but it was hard. They didn't want to, they really didn't have the strength to latch. They had feeding tubes. I was stressed out anyways. I'll start from the beginning. I'm gonna make this video as short as I can. I tend to get pretty chatty and I'm sorry about that, but basically I had them at 10:34 and 10:36 p.m. on August 7th, 2017. And I went straight to recovery after that, obviously. I had to have an emergency C-section. But I want to say not even like 2 hours after they were born, I was like asking for the nurses. I'm like, I need a pump. I need a pump now. I need a pump. They were like, they didn't, I think we all knew at that time like nothing was going to come out. But I was adamant and I knew I wanted to breastfeed, and that was that. And there was no one that was going to tell me any different. So they told me that I could have like a pump in a few hours. They said they'll give it to me as soon as they can. It's not that they didn't have a pump available, but they didn't want me stressing out like I had just gone through major surgery. Because like I said, I had a C-section. So anyways, it was about 4 a.m. when they first gave me the pump, I want to say. 4 or 6 a.m., I think. The weirdest feeling ever. At first it's very, very uncomfortable. It's like, what on earth? Obviously you want to start in the lowest setting, and then when you're in the hospital they usually give you like the Medela Symphony, which is a great pump. Love that pump. That pump and I were best friends for a long time. But so I tried for the first time, and I actually didn't plan on like having them obviously when I did. So I wasn't prepared at all. I literally just had like my hand, like I planned on getting like a hands-free bra and everything. And I want to say, I don't want to forget, if you at all think that you may have your babies early or your baby early, or you think your baby may not latch, you're obviously not going to know that, but if you think you may have a premature baby, I highly, highly suggest packing a hands-free pumping bra, because when you're learning, you really want to do your hand compressions. I'm not going to go into details about that. It's kind of self-explanatory, and your nurses can teach you that. Your lactation consultant can teach you that, but that's very important. This may be a little bit TMI, but like my husband was so helpful when it came to that, because basically like I held and he did the hand compressions for me because we were trying to get my milk to come in. So I had them on Monday evening, and my milk didn't actually fully come in until Saturday. Like I was discharged on Friday. It was so like, I was so stressed out about it. It was crazy. But anyways, I think so I started pumping early Tuesday morning, and I was going every like 3 hours. And I was so like out of it from like all the meds and stuff, just from the pain I was experiencing. I was like falling asleep while I was pumping. I didn't sleep for 3 days. And I think that was just a lot of adrenaline and things running through my body, and I don't know, I don't know why I couldn't sleep. It's not even like I had babies in my room with me or anything like that. I just couldn't sleep. But finally, I think it was Thursday morning, I finally got a little bit of milk out. I never really experienced colostrum or anything like that. Basically, like, it was kind of ridiculous. They were so sweet to me, but I was like ridiculous. Like, I wanted to save literally every drop. So like they gave me these little tiny jars that I could put my milk in, And I'm not kidding, like drops, like literal 1, 2, 3 drops in these little containers. And my husband so kindly was walking them down to the NICU. Basically what they do at that point, because obviously they're not gonna feed it to them. It's not enough to even put in a feeding tube or bottle or anything. But they would put it in a Q-tip and they would swab it in their cheeks. And Lincoln had a little bit of jaundice, so they were giving most of it to him, and I kind of wanted that. He was super small, like I just wanted the best for him. They did swab a little bit in Jackson's mouth, but Lincoln was getting most of my milk at that point. So basically I was pumping every 2 to 3 hours at the beginning because I was like really trying to get my milk to come in. I didn't have a breast pump at all at home. Like obviously I had them early. I was kind of procrastinating on it. I just thought I still had time, you know, to get my pump. So on Friday I was basically like making calls. And at the time, like Babies R Us, there's like a couple different places, and I would ask your hospital, like if this ends up happening to you, like there are resources and you can rent a hospital grade pump. Like I was adamant about having a hospital grade pump because I was trying to be pumping for two babies. So I ended up renting a Medela Symphony from the hospital for $60, which I thought was a really decent price for the whole month. So I had that for the whole month and returned it. My friend actually let me borrow a pump, which was amazing. The boys were not strong enough to even consider having bottles. Like they were so little, they didn't even know how to suck. Like those are all things that they have to learn when they're born premature. It's the suck, swallow, breathe method, that's what they call it, and they don't know how to do all those things in the right order, so a lot of times they choke. So the boys were getting basically my milk through a feeding tube. I was pumping and storing, and I just like every time I went to the NICU I brought all my milk with me, and actually I felt really lucky because I got to a point where like they told me to stop bringing milk because I had so much milk. It was amazing, but I didn't stop. Like I was obsessing over it. Like I pumped every 2 hours. Sometimes I pushed it to 3, but I had a pretty good supply. I was eating oatmeal. Like these are my, let me just give you like my top tips. And I truly believe that this is how I was able to like breastfeed for so long. The biggest thing is water and Gatorade. Like keep yourself hydrated, and actually coconut water is a really good one because it has a lot of electrolytes in it, and the Under Armour drinks have that in it. So those are actually the ultimate best. The Under Armour drinks, they're a little pricey, but I mean if you have like one a day, I don't feel like that would be too expensive. Basically like it just really hydrates you. That's number one. And eating enough. Like I was not eating enough, and I actually like I can't believe that I was pumping as much as I was for as little as I was eating. Like I was eating like a ton of fruits and fruits. Like all I wanted was berries and like watermelon and all that stuff. And actually the day after I was discharged, Josh was so sweet. He went to Costco and he bought like everything in bulk, like 2 of everything, and cut it all up for me. So I had a bunch of fruit, but because I couldn't really do a lot. I pretty much was stuck on the couch for like 2 weeks, other than like when I went to the NICU, of course. That's kind of that'll probably be another video, but that was hard because he was working and I couldn't drive and all that. So anyways, the water, the hydrating drinks, enough food, flaxseed, brewer's yeast, lactation cookies. And you know what I did actually? I love to bake, and like during the holidays and stuff, I'll make like my own stuff from scratch. But what I did, because I was just like so, I don't know, I just didn't have the energy, I was in pain, everything, I bought the oatmeal chocolate chip Betty Crocker bags, and I just added what did I add to that? I added a ton of flaxseed, like so much. And then I added extra oats to it because obviously it's not like really oatmeal in the Betty Crocker thing. So I just added a ton of that. I added some chocolate chips. What else did I add? You can add brewer's yeast, but it doesn't have a good taste. So, I mean, that's just kind of like a chance you take when you do that. But yeah, the biggest thing I added was flaxseed, and I feel like that helped a lot. So I made those and I ate those I ate like 6 a day or something crazy. But the number one supplement, and I will tell you, and this is so not sponsored or anything, but I ended up finding them. A lot of women don't know that fenugreek can actually have a negative effect on your milk supply. And I found this out shortly after I had the boys. I wasn't taking fenugreek or anything, but the biggest thing from what I've read and heard is that if you've ever had a thyroid issue, or you currently have a thyroid issue, or think you might have a thyroid issue, you should really avoid fenugreek, because I don't know why, but it can actually hurt your supply. So make sure you read up on that. But this company called Legendairy milk, they're fenugreek free, and I'm telling you, you guys, like that company is the reason why I was able to have milk, like enough milk for 2 babies. I took the Pump Princess. It's called Pump Princess. I don't know. It's not exclusively for somebody pumping, but they have like probably 4 or 5, 6 different kinds, but their products are amazing. They're a little pricey, but I mean, formula was out of the question, not because I'm against it. Like, we use formula now, but financially I wasn't, I'm not working. It just was not possible. And of course I was like, I'm gonna breastfeed and nobody's gonna tell me I'm not going to, kind of thing. And that's what I had set in my mind, and that's what I was gonna do, and that was that. So formula wasn't even in my thought process. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. What else? What else is really good? What I did is I actually bought brewer's yeast capsules, just on Amazon. And I took those, and then I kept taking my prenatal. But truly, I feel like the Legendairy milk is what did the best job for me. Also power pumping. That was basically what that is you pump for 10 minutes, you rest for 10 minutes, you pump for 10 minutes, you rest for 10 minutes, and you pump for 10 minutes, or something like that for an hour. There's different things you can do, but anyways, that's how I was able to keep such a good milk supply. And I basically, once they were discharged, I had a pretty decent amount of milk in my freezer, so that was nice. But they ended up latching. They were 3 weeks old. So they were around 33 weeks gestation when they started latching. And Jackson latched one night, and then Lincoln latched the next night. He was too tired the day that Jackson tried. But they did so good. We were all so shocked at how well they did. They didn't do great with the bottles. So basically I tried to be there as much as physically possible to be in the NICU to nurse them. Basically, I was there as much as physically possible. I would nurse them as much as I possibly could, and they had them on a very strict schedule. So most of the time Jackson was 8 o'clock and Lincoln was 8:30. And they ended up extending that for me, so they made Jackson 8 o'clock and Lincoln 9 o'clock. And depending on how things would happen, if certain things would happen in the day, or they'd have lab work done, or the ophthalmologist would come or whatever, they would change their time sometimes, but they always spaced it out for me so it would work. Basically, I would spend my time with Jackson nursing him, and then I'd spend my time with Lincoln nursing him. So anyways, Jackson was really consistent. He did really well. Once he was discharged, we were great. He was nursing all the time. I was still pumping. For Lincoln, of course, because I had to bring his milk to the hospital with me, and then I would nurse him when I got there. So all in all, I had a really good supply, like a pretty decent milk supply to consistently nurse for like 8 or 9 months. I may be a little off there, but I had milk in the freezer that long. And I would like, there were times that I drove, like, this is again another video, but I couldn't actually bring Jackson to the NICU. And it's probably gonna sound crazy, but I couldn't bring him in after he was discharged. So, and with Josh working as much as he does, I didn't, like, I did have people I could leave him with, but that's really hard. Like, I was being pulled in 2 different directions, and that was really hard on me emotionally. But, basically what I did is I would pump my milk, and I would drive it to the NICU, and I would bring them enough for like a couple days, and I would come whenever I could, like as soon as he got off or whatever. Like, he would visit them on his way home from work, visit Lincoln, and then he would take Jackson for me, and I would go hang out with Lincoln. That was the hardest, the absolute hardest, was when Jackson was discharged. I didn't realize just how hard it would be, and looking back, I'm like, it's crazy that they even like discharge them separately, but if it's not medically necessary for them to be there, I get it, you know. And I just so desperately wanted to have my babies home. But Lincoln was there an additional 5 weeks past when Jackson was. But what I can say is that if you feel like your sanity is being compromised, it's gonna happen. You're gonna lose so much sleep. You're going to obsess over it, and it's just the reality, and you're a new mom, and you're tired, and you're emotional, and you're a basket. Like, it's all of the things. But if you feel in your heart that the time is ready, like, you've got, formula's okay. Like, fed is best, as they say. I'm getting all teary-eyed because it was really hard to quit. But Lincoln actually weaned himself around 6 months. I think that he just was like, this is too slow for me, I want a bottle. So I continued to pump. Of course, I was pumping like the whole time. And then he would get my milk just through a bottle. Jackson, I officially weaned at 11 months. And that was really hard, and I actually have a really hard time with it now, because now that, like, he is having such a hard time eating, he now has to go on toddler formula, which is like, I just wish, because I'm a mom and I have these emotions, I think to myself all the time, like, maybe I should try to relactate, and then just pump the milk and give it to him. And some of you probably think that's really crazy, and maybe some of you don't, but I don't think I'm going to end up doing it, because it was just like, it was a lot. It was so much on me, and formula is fine. It's absolutely fine. I just, like, still have all those emotions. That was only 2 months ago that I quit. But the reason why I quit is I really just did lose, like, pretty much lost my milk supply. And I didn't have the energy to pump like I was before, because I had 2 babies and Jackson was a lot to handle at that time. And I just didn't have it in me to continue, like, to pump and then get nothing, if that makes sense. So basically for a long time, I was just probably like the last, I'd say month or month and a half, I was only nursing Jackson at night. And one day he like slept until like 5 in the morning without nursing, which was crazy because he always woke up around midnight, 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes several times in the night to nurse. And I kind of figured out that it was pretty much just a comfort thing. Like, I wasn't getting any more milk. There wasn't really much milk coming out when I did pump. So that was kind of when I was just like, okay, I just need to stop. Again, that was very hard, and surprised, like, it wasn't painful. I didn't experience anything. I think my milk was pretty much gone at that point anyway. it wasn't hard. Like emotionally it was hard on me, but like he didn't really take it hard. Like he was just kind of like, why are you not? But he didn't like scream, and he's never taken a pacifier. It wasn't too bad. So it really didn't even feel like weaning, if that even makes sense. He just kind of was like, okay, I guess this is this, you know? But, it's amazing how much longer he started sleeping once we were done. Like, he started sleeping like 4 hours straight, and then like 5 hours straight, and now he's at like 6 hours. Pretty much without waking up. Like they both occasionally wake up, of course, they're babies, but like if you want your baby to sleep through the night, that just might be your answer. And it's kind of like you have to weigh out your options, you know. But like now I'm just gonna try the toddler formula, but Lincoln's actually ready to go to regular milk, and I just kind of wanted to, I don't know, fill you guys in. When I was pumping, like the most I ever pumped, I think the most I ever pumped was probably close to like 14 or 15 ounces at one time, and that's really not that much for 2 babies. But somehow when they were really small and they were only getting like half an ounce at the beginning, they were feeding them such small amounts, because they say that your baby's belly, I think, is the size of a quarter, maybe smaller than that, when they're first born. So I was able to like stockpile it all for a while. But Lincoln got my bottles, like my milk in his bottles, until about 8 months old. So I had a decent stash. But if you guys have any questions, I tried to cover everything. I think I did cover everything that I wanted to talk about. But feel free if you have questions, or what it was like. Oh, a question I do get a lot of the times is if I fed them at the same time, if I tandem nursed them. And I did, but not all the time. Like it kind of just depended on who was hungry when. We didn't really have a schedule. We were kind of just winging it. Of course, I made sure they ate every 2 to 3 hours, but I did sometimes. But the Twinsy nursing pillow was amazing for that. And even when like I was just nursing one, it was great, because I could just like lay them on it and, you know, help support them, because they didn't really know. Like I kind of had to hold my breast and then hold their head and help them do it. So the pillow helped a lot. But the biggest things I recommend are, of course, having a pump. Oh, and if it's uncomfortable, you can put, another tip I have is that when you're pumping, if it's uncomfortable, you can put like coconut or olive or whatever kind of oil inside your flange, and it'll make it a lot more comfortable. And make sure that you bring your pump with you if you have it to the hospital when you have your baby, because you can actually, your lactation consultant can tell you if you need a bigger or a smaller flange, or if it's the right size, because that actually makes a big difference if your flange is the wrong size. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye!